Hello, my fellow Alaskans. How are we all doing today on this bright and beautiful semi-sunny afternoon here? It is Monday. We are at Real Life Church here in Palmer, Alaska, and they are just about ready to begin. Please take a moment. You can find this video live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at Politadick and Politadick Unfiltered. You'll see it also on Rumble within the next 6 hours approximately. And as always, you can watch it live on our website at politadick.com and at Politadick Live. And you can, while you're there, please go to our support page and help us out, help us grow. All donations go right back into making sure what we do continues to expand, improve our services to all of you. You guys can help make that happen. Make a small donation, show your support today. As you can see there on the screen, we are going to be hearing from Beacon Hill today, and I will pop off my splash onto the screen there and let you guys see what's up there on the big screen in front of me. And we're here for Beacon Hill Through Love, www.beaconhillalaska, aka I should say.com. They exist to serve Alaska's children in foster care or children of risk going into foster care through the love of Christ. Please like and share if you'd like to learn more about what is going on. This is definitely a good way to do it. One too many children in Alaska are living in the foster care system. I believe we're somewhere around 400 people now currently living in foster care here in Alaska. And there is something that you can do. Become a foster parent. There's also other things you can do. Adopt. There's many ways to help out the children here in Alaska, and those are the two most common, easiest things that can be done. If you got the time, you can afford it. If you've had other kids and feel that empty nest syndrome going on, think about, becoming a foster parent. Fill that nest back up just a little bit. Bring in that loving family and children into a warm, loving home, and help support them and grow and have a brighter future than what currently may be. If you haven't liked and shared this video, please do that right now. All right, I am going to swap this on down here so that you guys can see me here and do a little bit of a one-on-one with you. All right, it's going to be a little bit before we get here in front of everybody that's going to be speaking today, and there's just one person, which I'm pretty sure you're aware of at this point. And hopefully you can hear me well. Some reason I'm not getting any volume on my player here. I think it might just be because I forgot to hit play. But thank you guys again for being here. You can find this live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook at Politadick Unfiltered, Rumble at Politadick, and we're also looking to get 6 more subscribers on Rumble. So if you're not signed up on Rumble, please take a moment, go get signed up on Rumble. 6 more people and we can stream live to them. That's all we need is just 6 more subscribers there, and we will be able to live stream directly to them. No longer having to worry about if YouTube is going to censor or ban the video that we are creating. It will be directly streamed to them, unfiltered, uncut, just as we have always promised since day one to do for all of you. We got plenty of things going on down there in Juneau. The House is about ready to finalize their budget bills and send it over to the Senate, and I'm sure you guys all heard about the big old drama that went on the House floor last week, where the minority got up and walked away and went and locked their doors and hid, not wanting to show up on the floor because the one-time BSA funding, base student allocation funding, that they wanted to give, the one-time funding for that of $175 approximately $1 million that they wanted to give, funding got moved over to the CBR, the Constitutional Budget Reserve, which requires a 3/4 vote. They were upset. The drama that went on, any of Alaska, greater Alaska school districts, the unions, even those legislators that walked out, they put on a big political show of support for, God, we can't have this happen. How dare you do this? Don't you realize the last 2 years in a row the CBR vote has not passed through both the House and the Senate? What makes this year any different? How dare you hurt the children? How dare you take this money away from the children? They all screamed as one. Well, ironically, if you know how the process works, this now goes over to the Senate. The Senate Finance Committee is going to take it and they're going to rewrite it to be whatever they want it to be. Then they're going to stick it onto the Senate floor. They're going to do their amendments and they're going to change whatever they want to change. Then it'll go to a final vote between both the Senate and the House, the Senate first, and then the House will either concur or deny passing the Senate's version of the bill. And as what happens every single year, it then gets put into a joint committee between the Senate and the House, made up of approximately 6 members, who then completely rewrite all of the funding sources, where that money comes from, how it's going to be distributed, and they throw it back out onto the floors to be voted on. And lo and behold, there they all cry in unison, "We tried." All that drama that just went on last week was just a big show, a big political game, nothing more than a choreographed play that they pull out every single year and rewrite just slightly. Last couple of years, it's been the Senate being the ones saying, "Look at us, we're the heroes, we tried. Look at what the House did to you." And now that the Senate is like the House was the last couple of years, the Senate's now going to say, "Oh, look what the the House is claiming we're the good guys now, and look at what these bad guys over in the Senate did to all of you." And it's just a big political game. And then in the end, they'll say those committee of 6 from the House and the Senate that was in the finance that completely changed all of the funding sources, put all the money back in that they wanted, and all the money that they didn't want it back out again. And they usually try to put that into like the CBR vote. So they'll change the funding for that one-time funding there if the BSA doesn't pass in the House or in the Senate there as they have it written right now to be in the CBR, which I highly doubt because the Senate is made up of the most extreme, you may classify, on the left spectrum of the political environment that we have out there. If I was king for a day, I would fire them all. And then the next step is I would tell the federal government, we don't want another dime from any of you guys. Then I would defund everything that Alaska currently funds, and everything that is underneath the Constitution would be restructured and refunded under new laws that didn't include one dime coming from federal government, unless, of course, it had to do with our military. And that they would have no choice, because they get rid of us, they lose their front line to the rest of the world to defend them down in the lower 48. You can imagine the turmoil that would cause if we said, nope, we don't even want the military money from you. Boy, you want to talk about the lower 48 going nuts and crazy. Well, that's life in Alaska. All right, on to a more serious note. I am currently, as you all know, my First Amendment rights, your First Amendment rights are under attack. There are those out there in the political environment that think that they have all the power and control to decide who the king and queen makers of Alaska are going to be, the ones that sit on the school boards, the assemblies, the legislators that get sent down to Juneau. These kings and queen makers do not like having their power structure stepped upon. They like to be hidden behind the scenes. We know who they are. They're people like Save Our State, NEA of Alaska, Alaska AFL-CIO. You can talk about all of the different organizations, from either the Koch brothers to the Soros-branded out there in both political spectrums. They're there. They're the ones that are manipulating the screens. They're the ones that helped get ranked choice voting passed here in Alaska. Intentional cough. Lisa Murkowski. You know what I'm talking about out there. Our freedoms are under attack, and we all need to stand united whenever somebody stands up and exposes the tyranny that is in control of the political structure. Those out there, I'm wearing this shirt for a reason today. the puppet masters out there, the ones that are controlling the strings, the ones up on top that are letting their little marionettes down below, those people are that are in charge, but they stay behind the scenes. They're the ones behind the curtains that you don't see, as their little puppet politicians down at the bottom of those strings are doing all their dirty work for them, saying in the end, as I began this here today, they tried. They really tried. Well, I'm currently facing a lawsuit because I exposed those corrupt puppet masters that are out there, and they don't like that. They're coming after me for something that's so old that any court of law that has any integrity whatsoever and actually wants to follow the law would completely throw this out of court and dismiss it. In all honesty, I kind of want this to go to the Supreme Court. I want this to find mainstream media. I want everybody out there to hear what is going on. Help us fight this lawsuit. Go to our website, Politadick.com. Click that support button. Help us hire a crackerjack attorneys out there so that we can fight this all the way. Looks like Edna's ready to go. I'm going to shut up and let her have it.
It's nice to have that power that I can get you to be quiet.
You can.
You'll all stand, please. I have my husband open in prayer. Probably know it by heart, don't you?
Hmm?
You won't don't you?
Somewhere in here. Where is it? 314. Okay. For this cause I bow my knee to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, from whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that he would grant unto us, according to his riches and glory, to be strengthened by the Spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in our hearts by faith, that we, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what's the breadth, the length, the depth, and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passes all understanding, that we might be all filled with the fullness of God, unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above, beyond all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. To him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen. John, would you lead us in the pledge? Or you can just say I and we'll follow.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for all coming out tonight, and we're going to turn it over to Dawn. She'll give a little bit of history about herself as well as the program that she's going to talk about tonight. So it's all yours, lady.
Thank you. Pancreatic cancer. The words hung in the air between our phones. It's spread, and they're giving me about 6 months to live, but I know it won't take that long. My dad was on the other end of the phone. We'd been estranged for 3 years. And that phone call began the 3-week journey of caring for him in his final days. My kids at the time were 7, 5, 2, and 3 months old. My name is Dawn Paulson. I am the my title has just changed. I'm the Family Support Director for Beacon Hill, and I'm here to share with you about what we do. In the summer of 2013, my normal support system was not available to me. My mom was mysteriously ill. My sister was in Europe. And the logistical, emotional, and physical demands of juggling 4 young kids and caring for both of my parents was starting to crush me. I remember taking my mom to a doctor's appointment, trying to figure out what was wrong with her, and got out of the car, walked around to the back of the car to meet her, and she looked at me and she said, "The baby?" And I had forgotten my infant in the back seat. I was overwhelmed in dealing with questions from doctors, both for my mom and for my dad. And I sent out a call for help. And my mom's sister flew in from Iowa, and my dad's brother came, and they helped me take care of them. And I had people sneak into my house and do my laundry so that I had clothes to wear, and put food in my fridge so that I could have food to eat. And they carted my kids to every vacation Bible school in the Mat-Su. I made it through those final days, and I was by his bedside when he passed because of the people that surrounded me and took care of me and my children in our time of crisis. And every family faces a crisis at some point or another. I've faced many sins, and it's the people that are around me that get me through that crisis. And we're going to talk about that today. So, I have been married to my wonderful husband for over 21 years, and our kids are now about to be 10, 12, 15, and 17. And I have been with Beacon Hill for about 7 years now. Next slide, please. Our mission is to serve Alaska's children in foster care and those at risk of entering foster care through the love of Christ. And we do that 3 main ways. We prevent with Safe Families for Children, which I'll spend a lot of time talking about today. We try to strengthen families that are in the foster care system and support children and foster families and biological families through our family support services. And then Heart Gallery of Alaska is addressing the hundreds of children in our state whose parental rights have been terminated or relinquished, and no permanent family has been identified for them, and they are waiting to be adopted. Next slide. Safe Families for Children is a movement of biblical hospitality. It provides a safe place for parents who are facing difficult circumstances to voluntarily have support for their children and a safe place for them. I could tell you lots of stories and talk about Safe Families, but a wonderful organization called Stand Together made a great video that I never get to show because it's 7 minutes long. And so I'm going to share that video with you tonight because it does such a good job talking about Safe Families. So.
This is Nellie Roya. She's a committed single mom of 2 beautiful kids. But Nellie has been struggling.
I'm bipolar and have severe depression problems and PTSD. I was pregnant and I lost my baby due to a car accident.
Nellie was overwhelmed. She had no one to turn to for help. No family, no friends, no one.
It's just hard to even imagine that when you're in trouble and you look at your phone and you actually have nobody to call. There are a ton of people that are in that situation.
And then someone reported her to Child Protective Services. She faced the very real possibility of losing her kids.
When I got in touch with my therapist, I told her that I wanted to commit suicide. My therapist called me and was like, I have a program for you.
We'll get back to Nellie, but before we do, you should meet the guy who started a movement to help people like her, Dave Anderson. While working as a psychologist 20 years ago, he met a little girl who had been severely beaten.
And then I met the mom, and I had to admit that I was a little angry at her.
The little girl's mom told Dave that she had to work and her daughter had gotten sick. If she missed one more day of work, they were going to fire her. So having nowhere else to turn, she asked her ex-boyfriend to watch her daughter. And while she was at work, he beat her.
I really just started to think, boy, if we could have offered this mom a place for her child to go and caring people that just wanted to be helpful to her, that this whole situation could have been avoided.
That experience and that insight prompted Dave and his wife Karen to start rethinking an institution that affects over 400,000 American kids and their parents, the foster care system.
Can I interrupt and give you some information on Safe Families?
Their movement, Safe Families for Children, is based on a really simple idea. While there are situations that require that kids be removed from the care of their parents, the vast majority of individuals caught up in the foster care system are really great parents who love their kids. And the problem is, they're alone and facing crisis.
If you dig a little deeper, why were things not going well? They didn't have the family, friends, neighbors who could step in to provide the extra support.
We believe that that parent is capable to be the parent that their children need them to be. It's really all about relationships. If they're in their situation because of social isolation, they need relationships that continue after kids are returned home.
Safe Families exists to provide a supportive community and resources to struggling parents before it becomes necessary for the state to step in and remove their children. Put another way, Safe Families exists to connect volunteers like Danielle Patelis with parents like Nellie Roya.
Hi, Miss Chloe. I love you, Chris.
A couple years back, Danielle started to look into ways that she could help foster kids. And that's when she found Safe Families.
It was everything that I had been praying about and looking for, but I was also still not sure how that was going to play out in terms of me being a single woman, number one, and living in a house of other single women. One thing about Safe Families was that they were extremely inclusive.
The day after completing the vetting and approval process, Safe Families matched Danielle and her roommates with Nellie, Chloe, and Christina. They've been caring for the kids full-time for the past 4 months.
Christina is such a talker. She asks so many questions a day.
What's your name? You got some brothers? How old are they?
Yeah, you're a great question.
And Chloe, she loves being active. Yeah! The whole goal when we started this as a house was to have hospitality for whoever we would be serving. But I think it kind of went to the next level with Nellie because she and I just clicked.
I tell her it's kind of hard for me to make friends or maintain a friendship, and with Danielle, it's like they have become like my heart family.
What do you mean your heart family? What do you mean by that?
I'm gonna cry on this one. I'm sorry. I don't talk to my family at all. Personal issues, and with them, I feel like with her, I can talk about anything, and Laura too. She's both of them. I had talked more to them, so it's really amazing. Sorry.
It's been such a blessing to be her community, and this isn't something that's going to be temporary. We've all become their aunts, and that's going to be something that even lasts for a lifetime. Sorry, I'm tearing up. It's just really cool. Yeah.
Nellie is still struggling, but with Danielle and her roommates' help, she's starting to get back on her feet. Since their founding 15 years ago, Safe Families has facilitated nearly 50,000 hostings, and most significantly, sees parents reunified with their kids 95% of the time. Now, for context, that's nearly double the reunification rate of the foster care system. But Dave feels like they're just getting started. He has a very ambitious dream for the next 3 years. He wants to get to 1 million volunteers. And Dave understands that not everyone can host, which is why Safe Families has created numerous ways that individuals can be a part of this transformative community of support. And if they can make it happen, if they can get to 1 million volunteers, they believe that they can prevent tens of thousands of kids from entering the foster care system.
We could take out all the kids that don't really need it, so the system can only care for those that really need it. It's just incredible to think about the opportunities that we have.
I've done a lot of home studies of people who are willing to do Safe Families. Some of them are big, extravagant, fancy homes. Some of them are small apartments and everything in between. Safe Families is not a program. Safe Families is a movement. Ordinary people who just are taking a step to make a difference in the lives of people who need it.
Thanks for watching. To learn more about how you can get involved, visit safe-families.org.
Safe Families for Children has been here in Alaska since 2016, and we are a movement, a nationwide movement of volunteers who are driven by radical hospitality to open our homes and take children in and support families and walk through messy crisis with them. In 2022 in Alaska, we had 110 hostings across the state in our chapters in Anchorage, Mat-Su, Homer, Kenai, and Fairbanks, with over 1,000 bed nights of respite for families. And here in Alaska, our return home rate is 98.2%. This is not foster care. This is upstream from foster care. This is intervening and steering families that are facing, I tell an analogy of a raging river. So families that are floating down the river, right? They're headed towards the waterfall, which is abuse and neglect. It's up ahead. It's coming. The writing's on the wall. But if we can stretch a safety net out across that river and divert them to calmer waters and surround them with support, we can prevent them from going over that waterfall. OCS is the ambulance at the bottom of the waterfall, scooping up bits and pieces of family and trying to put them back together, right? But if we can prevent that, we can make a huge difference. Next slide. A big difference with Safe Families for Children is there's no money exchanged in Safe Families for Children. These are all volunteers. It is a volunteer-driven movement that's professionally supported by Beacon Hill. And the other big piece is that it is the parent that's reaching out for help, that's saying, I'm struggling and I need some support. Last month, a mom here in Mat-Su reached out to Safe Families. She had moved here recently from a domestic violence situation in the lower 48. She had fled that situation to safety here. She had a great job, but she was really struggling to find childcare. Did you know that we're in a childcare crisis right now? Yeah. And her employer, very similar to this other mom's story, said if you miss another day or leave early again, we have to let you go. We will have to. So she reached out to Safe Families for Children, and we matched her with a volunteer host family that did 2 weeks of day hostings. So a day hosting is where, just like it sounds, they went to that host family's home for the day and gave that mom some time to find childcare and got her through spring break. And if you've been a mom or a parent at home caring for children during spring break, bless you, because it is hard work. And we surrounded that mom early on, before she lost her job, before she lost her housing, before she couldn't put food on the table, before someone had to call OCS because she was unable to care for her kids, right? So the big thing is that the parent is calling the helpline. The parent is reaching out for help, saying, I need help. We do a basic intake, and then we match them with one of our volunteers. They get to meet each other. Parent gets to ask all sorts of questions of this host family. This host family gets to share about themselves, and they get to hear about all the details of this kiddo. What are their likes and dislikes? What's their routine? What do they do to comfort and soothe them? How can I comfort them? How do you discipline? What do I do when they act up? So the child is kept safe, the family is supported, and the family stays intact. Our goal is to keep kids safe and families together, and our goal is relationship. Next slide. So like I said, it's parent initiated. It's the parent's crisis. We have calls for homelessness. We just had a mom of actually 3 young children. She'd been couch surfing with this relative and that relative, and they were like, we need our home back. I can't handle you and your kids anymore. And she had nowhere to go. And she said, I can't put my kids through this right now. I need some help. And so we are hosting her 2 young kids for 2 weeks while she finds some housing and gets things figured out and gets back on her feet. Those kids don't need to be in foster care. It's short term. You mentioned 2 weeks, right? Our average hosting here in Alaska is 9 days. Do we have ones longer? Yes, absolutely. But some of them are a night. Some of them are a weekend. And it's really based on the parents' goals. What are they needing for their family? What do they need to work on? And we create a circle of support around them. Next slide. So the goal, like I said, is relationship. Because we can host those kiddos for a weekend and put a pretty bow on them. But what happens next time? We need people, right? The church surrounds their people and takes care of them. If somebody's gonna have another baby, somebody else watches the other kids, and a meal train is set up, and the church rallies around them. There's a baby shower, and people support people. We had a mom here in Matsu just last month. She said, I'm due to have a baby, and I have nowhere for my kids to go when I give birth. And the baby's dad would like to be there, but we have nobody to watch our kids. So they got to sit down at our family support center and meet a wonderful host family that took those kiddos in when it came time, and those things aren't necessarily scheduled. And they were like, you know, our youngest is 1 and still in a car seat, and we don't have a car seat. I said, boom, got you covered. You want some diapers and wipes with that? And is there any allergies in your home? Because we'd like to send some meals home when you pick the kids up. And she was floored because even though this was her 6th baby, she had never had anyone make a meal for her. I've had 4 babies, and I've had a lot of people make meals for me, and let me tell you, it was wonderful. And so we called on some family friends, and they made meals, and we had people that had donated a car seat and diapers and wipes, and we sent them home well, and they were surrounded by support. You've heard me mention family friends. Family friends help with tangible things: a meal, a ride, babysitting, tangible things. You need a car seat? I'll bring you one. I've got one in my shed. You don't have a crib? I've got one of those in my shed too. Let me help you out. I'll bring it over. Family coaches. Family coaches help walk the crisis with that parent. We need people. We need people that are checking in on us and encouraging us and cheering us on and going, oh, did you hear about this resource? That might help you out. That's what family coaches do. And the Safe Families for Children Church. We believe that the church has all of the resources necessary to support vulnerable children and families. So, hopefully, you're excited and pumped up and saying, how can I get involved? Next slide. Every month we host a Connections and Questions where you can connect with the Safe Families for Children staff. Ask all of your questions, which hopefully I'll have some time after this to answer those for you. And find out more about how to get involved and what role is the best fit for you. So that happens actually, it's happening right now. It happened at noon and 7 today, but our next one is May 11th. And then there's something for everyone, right? If you can't be a host family, be a coach. If you can't be a coach, be a family friend. If you can't be a family friend, would you just pray? Or would you give? Would you donate? Next week, we're hosting our Matsu Light the Way Home Luncheon. Good job. Here in Palmer at the Depot. It is an opportunity for the business community of the Matsu to say that we support our community's children. And I have a few seats left. Edna's going to be there sharing with us. And we have a couple speakers lined up. But it is a 1-hour luncheon for business professionals to come and hear about the movement of safe families and how prevention makes all the difference in the world. So if you are interested in coming to the luncheon, come see me, because I do need to put you down for a seat. I have to get my head count to the caterer. I'm going to move on to that second bubble up there, family support. Unfortunately, there are times when children need to be removed from their caregivers. And when that happens, Beacon Hill's goal is to minimize and reduce trauma for kids any way we can. And that's by supporting kids, that's by supporting their parents, and that's by supporting their foster families. Because the less kids move, the better, right? Coming out of the pandemic, we had a 30% reduction in non-child specific foster homes in Alaska. We did not have a 30% reduction in the number of children in foster care. The Office of Children's Services has been operating at about a 40 to 60% vacancy rate. So a job that's already really hard is operating at 40 to 60% vacancy rate. So, what do we do about that? We do a lot of things about that. I'm going to share a video about our Mat-Su Family Support Center. This one's shorter.
Beacon Hill exists to serve Alaska's children in foster care and those at risk of entering foster care through the love of Christ. Our purpose is to support, serve, and encourage vulnerable children within our community. Unfortunately, there are times when children must be removed from their parents' homes due to safety reasons, but this is always meant to be temporary. The goal is to strengthen families and for children to be returned to their home as soon as safely possible.
When my kids were removed from my home, the first thing I asked the worker was, "When can I see my kids?"
When children are placed in my home for foster care, often their first questions are about their parents. Is my mom okay? When can I see her?
Family contact is when kids in foster care spend time with their family. Meaningful, healthy, and culturally centered family contact reduces trauma and provides a sense of normalcy for kids. The well-being of children in foster care depends on regular contact with their parents and family in a comfortable, child-friendly place. Ideally, family contact would occur in the most normal place possible, the family's home. But when that is not possible, the next best option is in a home-like setting. Beacon Hill's Mat-Su Family Support Center provides a home-like setting for families to spend quality time together doing typical family activities. Families can celebrate their usual family traditions and apply and practice new parenting skills. Families can prepare and eat a meal together. Parents can help their kids with homework around the table. They can cuddle on the couch and read a book together or play a board game. It takes a tribe to parent well. The Mat-Su Family Support Center wants to foster relationships within a community. This means everyone working together to make family contact happen. We like to encourage foster parents, relatives, and even community volunteers to help supervise contact. Our dream is for all children in our community to be loved and well cared for in healthy homes.
So Beacon Hill has 2 family support centers. We have one in Anchorage, and it is a fun play center, and we offer supervision of family contact there. We provide transportation, and it is supervised by Beacon Hill staff. So So it's a little different than a support center out here. Ways you can get involved in Anchorage is we take volunteers that help transport kids in foster care to their time with their parents, and those referrals come through the actual social worker themselves. So a little different in Anchorage. Next slide. Out here in Mat-Su, as the video talked about, it's a little different. We're actually open and available 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're right around the corner, located over in the Palmer Family Church of the Nazarene off of Hemmer. And we don't actually provide the people to supervise, we provide the space. And so like we said, the video said, we are encouraging, because there will never be enough money in any budget anywhere to pay enough people to give parents enough time with their kids. And so we have to think outside the box. And we encourage and train and support foster parents who facilitate contact, as well as community volunteers. And we have other partners that use our space. The Office of Children's Services reserves it, and others. So, ways you can get involved with that is our family contact supporter role. And so we are the contracted provider of a pilot project to improve what family contact looks like, and move from a lifeguard approach of sitting in the corner ready to jump in case there's any safety concerns, to a swim instructor approach where I'm engaged with you and your kids, and we're coaching you through how to care for your kids and supporting you in parenting them. So we feel like the church has an opportunity to be in relationship with families that are in the foster care system. And so we have this volunteer role of a family contact supporter. We will train you, screen you, obviously for safety, background check, and we will provide you with ongoing coaching and support as a volunteer to supervise and be matched with a family who's ready for community family contact. And as I mentioned, that foster parent crisis that we're in, right? How can we ask foster parents to add more to their plate and supervise contact? By supporting them and all the other things. So the Palmer Family Church gave us a shed. And I was like, wow, what a blessing. What am I going to do with this? And so we have created a one-stop shop for foster families. When they receive a new placement, we want to support them with a freezer meal, with a car seat if they need it, with a bag of starter clothes. Sometimes kids come with nothing. So here's 4 to 6 outfits, a pair of pajamas, some socks and underwear, just to tide you over until you get your voucher or until the dust settles. We'll provide comfort care kits for kids that have a snuggly stuffed animal and a soft blanket and a sippy cup or a water bottle. It's just theirs. Some toiletry items. Those are our comfort kits. And we have all sorts of baby and toddler care. We're providing a foster parent support group so that they can support one another in this hard work that they're doing. We provide transition supplies. We just had a foster parent reach out. She goes, I have a kiddo. He's heading out of state. He's going to go move in with some family out of state. He is no longer going to be in OCS custody. Do you have a suitcase? I said, absolutely. We are sending this kid home out in style. And so we had some duffel bags for him, and she sent me a picture of him in the airport dragging his suitcase, and he looked like every other kid in the airport. So we are trying to do all these different things to support reunification and reduce the trauma that children and families are experiencing in the foster care system. Next slide. And then finally, our third leg of our stool that I talk about is our Heart Gallery of Alaska. Unfortunately, for some children, reunification is not possible. And for some of those children, around 300 to 500 in our state, no permanent family has been identified for them. And they are waiting to be adopted. And so the Heart Gallery of Alaska uses the power of media to highlight these unique children and what they're looking for in a family so that their forever family can find them. We have a mobile gallery that travels around the community. All of these children have chosen made the brave choice to advocate for their own adoption and to be placed on the Heart Gallery. And that mobile gallery, we have one in Anchorage, Matsu, Fairbanks, and then we have some digital galleries that travel around in various locations, from businesses to churches, to raise awareness of the many children that are waiting. And then that's it. Those are our 3 legs of our stool. We prevent crisis with Safe Families for Children. We support and strengthen families with our family support services, and we help children with permanency through the Heart Gallery of Alaska. So I'm going to open it up for questions.
And we have raise your hand, and Jessica will bring you the mic so we can be sure.
You want me to walk it around?
Yeah, she's right back there.
I know I'm a different speaker than what you guys are used to. So I want to thank Mayor DeVries for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. Yeah.
I love your program. This is so exciting. And I think, how can, we're not listed on that. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we need to know about this. Because this is, I had no idea the number of children that needed programs. And I know we're so busy in our own community, and we serve and we do all these wonderful things that you guys do, but we don't know about this. So is it something that you'd be able to come and teach us?
Absolutely. Let's talk.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of you.
For 2 years, I worked very closely with parents who had had their children taken from their homes. I never saw any child being hurt by one of those parents, but I frequently found friends who cried because they never got to see their kids, whether it was a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting. They didn't seem well served by the OCS system. And there are articles all over the place nowadays about some of our kids out on the streets because they won't stay where they are. And do you address those issues for the parents where they believed that they were good parents and their kids were torn apart because they weren't with their good parents? So I'm hoping to meet with you and discuss closely with you opportunities for helping the good parents visit the good kids again.
I don't think there's a bad parent out there. I think parents, the system's not perfect. The system's flawed, absolutely. We have a cordial, good working relationship with the Office of Children's Services because they love what we do. Because we encourage them in the hard job that they have. Because we pray for them. And that has given us the opportunity and the rapport that we are invited to a lot of tables, statewide conversations, systems change kind of things. That is absolutely exciting and gives me hope for a better future for our children. We don't get involved in specific cases unless they're receiving services from us, like our families in our Anchorage Family Support Center. We walk with those families and support them. I hope that answers your question.
We see a lot of the outcomes of OCS. I recently did a bunch of research myself on the adoption system that we have within Alaska and the United States and the foster care system. I understand there's over 400 people in Alaska, children in Alaska that are in the system right now. Are you geared like OCS to where you're taking them out of the homes and the parents are legally having to go through major hoops just to be with their kids? But the way you made it sound is like you're more hands-on. The parents are directly involved. You're working to resolve these problems. A lot of the people watching right now, that's their big question. What makes you different from OCS? And are you also in the schools?
We do not remove children from their homes. We have no legal authority to do that. That is not our desire. We want families together and whole. We are not the government. We are not, say, the Office of Children's Services. We are completely separate from them. We are mandatory reporters, just like the teachers in your schools, the doctors that you see, and all the professionals in your community. I can tell you in my 7 years of doing this, I've reported one mom, and I told her first, and I walked with her through it. And we are still friends to this day. So, what was your question? So no, we do not remove children. How are we different? Parents are asking us for help, okay? We are upstream from OCS before abuse and neglect is taking place. Does that answer your question?
Are you in the schools?
Oh, are we in the schools? Yes, we partner with schools. I presented to principals. We've presented to school counselors, school nurses. Our posters are in the schools. We want parents to find out about us. So please take our information and share it. Parents can't reach out for help if they don't know how to reach us. Our helpline is 907-277-0925. It's answered 24/7 by a real live person.
I was just kind of curious, when you talk about children that have no one, have you ever used like the DNA registries to try and track down missing relatives?
No, we ask the parent, do you have anyone? And we might help prompt them. Is there an auntie or an uncle? Is there a neighbor that you trust with your children? Oftentimes, there's no one because relationships have been broken. And there's no one, when I say no one, they have no one that they feel safe to leave their children with. So no, I don't go digging in their DNA, sorry. I ask the parent, like, who can, try and prompt them of trying to think of someone else that maybe they've forgotten about.
That just makes me wonder, so you don't take kids, you take parents and their families.
So we don't host parents, but the parent reaches out to Safe Families and says, I need help with my children, I'm struggling, I'm going through something really hard, I need someone to help care for my kids so I can get back on my feet. And we host children. Now, sometimes we have teenage moms. And if the situation was right and I had the volunteer, there are other sites across the country that have what we call Safe Families Plus, and they host the teenage parent and that younger child, I guess, in certain situations. So I don't rule that out.
There's a huge movement right now going on to try to better this very broken system and to help facilitate better ways to handle families and kids. Well, part of that, or one of the things that people have brought up, is decentralizing foster care. And Texas just did that not too long ago, and it went to the churches. Is that something Beacon Hill has ever talked about, or is standing in line or waiting in the background, that if that ever were to come up, that Beacon Hill would step up with the churches in the state and decentralize foster care and make it really truly about the family?
Our goal is to be so far preventative that in theory, yes, that the church would rise up and care for the children that need to be cared for, and there wouldn't be a need for OCS.
Amen.
So an example of how this can work is I have some relatives and they were both drug addicts and they produced 4 children, and right before OCS stepped in, the parents went to my stepdaughter and said, help us. And so what they did was a parent-to-parent agreement. The stepdaughter took possession, legal possession of the 4 kids and put 2 with the great-grandmother, and she kept the 2 youngest ones, and they're still in this situation today. She will be their gatekeeper legally until, she sees fit to release them, but they did not end up in foster care. These kind of things can be facilitated, I'm assuming, by you, so very gratefully.
I have provided, when there are relatives, there's a document online called a parent-to-parent agreement. There's also guardianship arrangements that are a little bit more legally standing. I've used a parent-to-parent agreement. I've left the country and left my children with someone, and I wanted somebody to be able to get them medical care. And so parents, if they have custody of their children, have the right to make legal custodial arrangements for them. Absolutely. And when they can do that safely and keep their children safe, that's being a protective parent. Any other questions?
And anyone else?
So I'll be in the back. I'll have some information of next steps for you to get involved in surrounding families with caring, compassionate community. And again, if you're interested in the luncheon, I do have to get my head count into the caterer. We have some wonderful folks coming to that event, and I have a few seats left, so come see me. And I invite you to our next Connections and Questions, or I can give you next steps for getting involved.
Do you have, Dawn, back there a sign-in sheet of some kind?
Yeah,
or
I have.
Because we have extra paper if you don't have it, so.
Yep, I have connection cards. If you'd be willing to give me your contact information, we'll follow up with you and see how we can connect you with the movement of biblical hospitality.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, comments, anyone? Okay. Well, thank you very much. One of the appointments I had today, and it wasn't set up that way at all, was I did a tour for the new Head Start that's in Palmer, that's just been in operations about 1.5 years. They didn't have a grand opening because it was during the COVID time, but so they invited me and I went there, and let me just tell you, your heart just breaks because you can see the needs of those children, even though that's a wonderful program and they, are very disciplined and that kind of thing. But as you grow more sensitive, you can just see the pain in some of the children's eyes, and some of the lady that was taking me around could take some pictures, but there were quite a few children that were there that was in foster care, and so we couldn't take any pictures with those children. So, and then, was that a month ago, we just had the ribbon cutting for another Head Start down over off of Fairview Loop, and so there's a need. And again, that's why we're here and why we have the School of Government. So, Dawn says it's a little bit different, maybe than a program we've had in the past, and it's probably the type that pulls on your heartstrings a little bit more than, some of the other ones. But there are a lot of people that are hurting in our communities, and so it's important that we know what is going on. We can't just condemn OCS and, we have to come up with some other ideas and things like that. So, and I was at a meeting recently where somebody's children who are in OCS, and they stated to me that Beacon Hill had arranged a Zoom call for them and their children, and if I remember correctly, I think their children have been in OCS for a year and a half, and that was the first Zoom call where all of the children and their mother and their grandmother were together. And so there's things like that that's going on. And so there's cries and heartstrings and challenges on all kinds of levels. And so thank you for your attentiveness to that. So are you ready for, oh, let me tell you, 2 weeks from tonight, we will have School of Government. A number of us at our church have a banquet, so we won't be here. Pastor Barry will be here, and he will be hosting. And Scott Ogan will be here. Many of you probably know Scott Ogan. He works as a staffer for Senator Shower. He's a former House member and a state senator from this area. And he will be here to talk about some of the bills on election reform, as well as House Bill 105, which is the governor's bill on parental rights. So it'll be at 7 o'clock, regular time, regular program. Yes, sir.
I won't.
You won't be here either? Okay, so I don't know if we will have somebody then that can take in, record it on their phone or something or whatever. I don't know what, or it may not we will, but we have it all set up, so please do take it and come, because like I said, Pastor Barry will be here, as well as Senator Ogan, and so anyway, it's something one of the challenges we've had recently regarding doing our own. So you don't have a substitute?
No, I'm in Kodiak that day for that Monday and Tuesday, so.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just giving you a bad time. We appreciate very much what you do, sir. We thank you for, over the last few months, sir, you filling in for a need that we had. Thank you. We appreciate that. So, okay, other announcements? Yes, Candy?
Mom, I think I mentioned it last week, or maybe I just heard about it a couple weeks ago, that momsforliberty.org has an Alaska chapter now. Go to momsforliberty.org to join that. They have chapters in probably maybe around 40 states now. Also, I put some flyers on the table since we were starting the meeting for Moms in Prayer, connecting moms. Jennifer Hansen is the state leader to connect with Moms in Prayer, to pray for their children and their school, regardless of what kind of school they go to. And her connection is on the card back there. And also a reminder for, some of us might know this, if Senator Shower is your senator or Senator Hughes, they are having a town hall for their constituents in Palmer this Saturday, 10 to noon, hosted at the the Tree of Life Church in the foyer part of their church.
So if you don't know where the Tree of Life Church, if you've been here for a long, long time, it was a former courthouse, I don't know, 30 years ago, I guess. But anyway, in Palmer, you would go down past the Pioneers home, and on that corner on the right where you would turn to go down to the junior high, right on that corner is the Tree of Life Church and their child care. So that's where it would be. And at 10 o'clock, you said, Candy, 10 to noon? Okay, all right. Eric?
I'd like to let everyone know I have Valley Republican Women raffle tickets. The drawing is going to be this Saturday. It's for a half cow. Friday? Okay, drawing's Friday. So there's 200 tickets. The maximum, it's $50 a ticket. So if you would like
And there's 2 tickets, I think, right?
winners, yeah.
You have 2 chances of winning it. And the meat will, they don't bring it in on the hoof, okay? If you're from the country, you know what that means. But it will be all cut and packaged and ready for your freezer, so you won't have to worry about, you know, what they did with the ears and the tongue and a few other things like that that you probably don't want to eat. So, anybody else? Anyone else have an announcement? Yeah. Thank you, Jessica.
Public testimony, HB 105, many are titling that as the Parental Rights Bill, will continue on Wednesday. There's been overwhelming testimony out there that parents should not have any rights, and they are only taking people who have not called already. So on Wednesday, if you have not testified on that bill, please call in and testify. It's almost 4 to 1 right now with what they've received to not do it. People that think we don't have parental rights. So if you're not one that normally gives testimony, or you would rather do an email, please send them an email. But we need to get our voices heard on this bill. Thanks.
On Saturday, there was an announcement regarding the governor having a meeting at the Wasilla Library. CJ, do you know about that? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I contacted Todd today about that, and the governor's going to be there, but it's going to, he won't be speaking. There's going to be someone from DNR that will be speaking, and there will be questions and answer time. But it's not locked down yet, and it's the Wasilla Chamber of Commerce is putting it on. So we still don't have a firm if that's going to happen or not, but it's supposed to be the 20th at 6 p.m. at the library, if it happens.
Yeah, Wasilla Library. Yeah, right, yeah. So, yeah, I think, well, I don't think I know, last time that Mike Brown, the borough manager, and I had a Zoom meeting with the commissioner of DNR and regarding House Bill 49 and 50, the carbon tax and sequestration. And we emphatically told him that we wanted some public input from our area, because in the Matsu borough, DNR has targeted 118,000 acres that would be tied up if the bills pass. So, plus we also mentioned to him that we thought if they were going to take some of the resources, even though it is state land, that we should get a slice of the pie for the borough. And so I don't know if that's going to happen. I did read the Legislative Digest today, and they said that they didn't anticipate that House Bill 49 and 50 would pass this year, but it is a big concern. And for those of you that regularly attend, you know we did have a presentation here about 3 meetings ago, I think. But some way or another it disappeared off of our Facebook page. So I think there's a little bit concern for some of the other side to get out on it. But it's still on yours, right? Is it still on yours?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One more, SB 52 student-based allocation. This is on Thursday, and public testimony in the Senate Finance Committee. I believe this is the first time it's being heard in the Senate Finance Committee. So if you have not testified on SB 52, the student-based allocation, that $175 million one-time funding that's being pushed through the House right now, this is that plus an additional $600 million on top of that. That's the first year. It's supposed to increase an additional $500 million after that, the second year. So a total of $2.6 billion a year more for our $260 million more dollars a year for school. Please call in and testify. No accountability whatsoever with the bill.
I just wanted to add for the Moms for Liberty,
Their first meeting in Alaska will be April 27th at 7 p.m. at Affordable Catering.
Great. Did you get that, CJ, to put into the newsletter? Okay.
Get it yet? If you can come see me afterwards, newsletter's going out tonight.
Okay. Will you have a chance to add that to there? Okay. Yeah, we won't, hopefully that'll be the last edition we want from you. So, I don't know, do you want to mention that? I don't know if everybody does get the newsletter here. Now this, as you know, we are not Republican or Democrat or Green Party or anything, but what she is going to talk about does come from the Republican Party. So if, you know, and so that's why it's volunteer, but go ahead, CJ.
We've started the Region 2 newsletter, which Region 2 is all of the Matsu. So it's House districts 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, and then the Senate districts that go with that. So we go from Healy to Valdez and to Glen Ellen, right? So it's a big, big area. So we started a newsletter to try to help people find out what's happening and what's going on, where to find things. And if you're interested in it, it comes out once a month. Lately it's been coming out towards the middle of the month. I'm trying to get it closer to the first. But volunteers are volunteers, right? So if you would like to sign up for it, it's free. And you can use the QR code to sign up, put your information in. And if you get it in now, you'll get the next newsletter because it'll be going out tonight.
Anyone else? Dave, did you have your hand up earlier? Did you want to say something? Oh, I thought. Okay, somebody else covered it. Okay, all right. So I see the mayor from the city of Palmer there, and I know, so do you have a date for the library, and you want to bring us up to date on all of the stuff on the library, please? Or anything else that's going on?
The library's still dead. And we still haven't got final numbers from the insurance company. We're kind of expecting to have to go a few rounds with them. But they have rented was it Old Northern Engineering on the green building right across from the side street from Napa. That should be opening, I think, the beginning of May as kind of a storefront. There won't be a lot there, but there'll be a little bit there, and you can check out books and probably get some. And I would just looked at some storage area that we have some cold storage area that much of our books will be over there, but they'll still have some of them. They're librarians, so they're keeping track of, okay, if these are kind of used, so we'll put them on shelves we can reach, and these are going to go up in the stacks. But and I think they just went out for an RFP. I think it went out today for trying to get architect, so that we can start talking about, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to rebuild, or are we going to? I don't at least have that much attachment to that building. I would just as soon get something new and maybe go a couple floors and have more space, especially for meeting rooms, small and medium-sized meeting rooms. I think would be very handy for whether it's tutoring or homeschoolers or whatever, or even a council chamber for that matter. But let's see. Did I answer all the questions? Or what else?
See, there was a post, I think you were looking for some seasonal workers for summertime too, I guess.
Right, they usually hire them for the grounds, although I think they've hired some already, and they've been moving books.
Oh, yeah.
Brad was telling me, yeah, they're big, they're brawny, and they'll just move that book, move that over there. So.
Yeah. You weren't to the meeting on Saturday, but the mayor from Wasilla was talking about the first Saturday that Palmer Library was down. They had 700 people come, and over to their library. So the library is pretty busy in Palmer, and so they were pretty floored, I think, regarding, yeah, so.
I should mention, I forget, somebody was telling me that one of the other libraries that's available is the Master College, and they have
Right.
a lot of DVDs and audiobooks, etc.
Yeah, and it probably has extended hours because of the classes.
students
So,
and
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
for the students' schedule and things like that, so, yeah, yeah.
So.
You still gonna have the museum, or did you guys cancel a contract, or is it still being
We didn't
meditated?
cancel a contract. Well, this is just my personal conclusion out of the matter, because I can't talk about what's happened in executive session, but my conclusion was we have not had hardly any communication with them. I mean, and I discussed some with the council, and just because you make a comment at the end of a council meeting, that's not really direction, that's not really communication. So I've got a working group with myself and another council member. We're going to start working with the manager, that we start working on some regular communication that's documented. And we're looking at the contracts still. So.
Anybody have any questions regarding the city of Palmer? Okay, all right, thanks, Steve. Any other announcements or questions or anything? Okay, so we'll let you out early tonight. If you all stand, and I'll do closing prayer. So, Lord, again, we thank you for this great country that you have given us, Lord, and that you allow us to live here and ask us to be stewards of it. Lord, we yield ourselves that we will pray and obey, Lord, for whatever you tell us to do and whatever route you have for us. Lord, we also want to encourage everybody as they pray and obey that they will finish their assignment, Lord, because, Lord, we know that you do not create anything without a purpose, and each one of us has a purpose, Lord, to be able to do and carry out your direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, hold on one second there, guys. I want to make sure you guys get a good view of this before we go for today. And right now, I want everybody to take a snapshot of the picture in front of you. And please save this for later on. If you are a family that has the ability to help out and help keep families united and give them a safe space to be able to grow in and be able to expand the resources necessary to keep these families out of OCS system, which we have over 400 in Alaska currently involved in. We need 700 families to step up, take part, and be a part of this to help make this system worthwhile, and so that more children can be staying with their families, not being separated, and having the OCS child trafficking system that we have here in Alaska take their child away and never once again see them again. This is a way to help prevent that. Again, 700 families in Alaska, that is all that is needed. We could have all 400 kids that are currently living within the foster care system and have them pulled out and brought into loving families that are going to help work with their parents or relatives to help make sure they have a safe, growing environment to be in. And just one more thing here, I'm going to flip the screen. You can see me. Thank you guys all again for being here. Make sure to like and share this video. You can find this on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at Politadick and Politadick Unfiltered. You can also find this at rumble.com at Politadick. We need just 6 more subscribers there. If you are on Rumble and you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do that. 6 more and we can directly live stream to them. We don't have to worry if YouTube bans the video and Rumble hasn't had a chance to stream it over to them or find us in the middle of a ban and it just doesn't get shared at all. So you guys could help make it so that we can stream to them directly so we're unfiltered and uncut. Please subscribe to us at rumble.com at Politadick. That's Politata. I'm going to emphasize that. DICK. And also go to our website, Politadick.com. Anytime we're live on our website at Politadick.com. Also help us grow, show your support, go to our support page, make a donation today. Every penny goes right back into what we're doing. And currently we need your support more than ever. At the beginning of this stream, I mentioned we're being sued. That's not changing. Personally, if I get the opportunity, I want to take this all the way to the Supreme Court, and I want to expose the dirty politics that are here in Alaska, and this is guaranteed one way to be able to do it. But I don't know if it's going to be able to get to go that far. The judge may have a turn of heart and say, this case has gone past any limits. We can't have it go forward. But until I get proper representation, I don't know what direction this is going to go, and I'm planning for worst case scenario. I take this all the way to the Supreme Court. I expose the dirt and the politics here in Alaska, and they will not be able to shut me up if that's what happens. And with your help, we can get the best legal team in Alaska to help me fight this all the way there. And I'll tell you what, those that we expose are going to wish they never brought this suit against me. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. Again, do not forget to like and share this video. And it's people like you, supporters like you, that make videos like this possible. Without your donations, your support, I couldn't afford to be here today. We'll see you guys all the next time. And oh yeah, I won't be fuzzy then.